Hey everyone, welcome along. Week 11. So we've built our new report pack, haven't we? We've integrated everything together. Okay, we've found some lovely issues that I hadn't really thought to see with data marts, and I'm going to fold it back through, and I think we'll look back at data marts and see if we can do everything that we've done in data marts again, because it didn't make sense, and I think it's to do with the updates that Microsoft's been going through and doing. But as I say, I've consolidated everything against the Power BI pack, and I need to roll it back and have a look. And there's a couple of things I'm still like, interesting, that I'm discovering about data marts, which is one of the benefits I get out of doing these series is I'll see things that potentially just reading the documentation or even just sampling it, you wouldn't really see. Hang on, in practice, it's a bit of an interesting one. So, little issue, nothing major, but it's a bit of an odd one because that's one of the things I was looking at because we were talking about Power Automate and integrating that through and how you can start to run refreshes with Power Automate. And then I was looking at, well, actually, how do I refresh a data mart for it? So I need to, do some jiggery pokery on that and test it all out because it doesn't look right, and I'm not convinced that the trigger that would fire off a refresh is going to refresh a data mart. So that's some of the testing that I need to do, and I'm just really busy with project work and these videos, and it's a little bit of a bad time. So let's cut an hour, into Power BI Desktop to see exactly what we've done, and then we can cut through and look through the environments, and we'll bring it through into a production app. Shouldn't take too long. We should be able to do it in 10 minutes, shouldn't we? Yeah. Alright, so here we are, This is first off, one of the things for me, which is really important when we're using PBIX files. So, PBIX files that you use for your master report, for your primary report, your FAT report, whatever you're going to call it, right? You need to make sure people aren't using it for actual visualization content, okay? And you'll see, you can see from the bottom down here that I've got lots of extra tabs. Right, so I am, right? But I use it for validations, not for visualizations, validations, right? So validation only, and then obviously I always have this main page saying do not use for reports, and you can put some core measures on there. So for this, we've got the number of inspections, we've got the number of buildings, and we've got the last uploaded date, which is the date from the New York City website as to when the data was last uploaded. So it's not when we've synchronized it, it's when it was uploaded. So that's kind of like your validation source. So if this starts to drift back, we could get that whole point of going, whoa, hold the phone, it's all gone wrong, right? Don't drink water in New York anymore, okay? Hopefully that won't happen, okay? But we can kind of work through it that way. It's good to know, right? The other thing I do is I always put a history tab in now, right? And you start to put notes in, and I'll go top to bottom, so I'll add new rows at the top in terms of what updates we've done. And we can see we've put the main version together, we're pushing this forward now, preparing it for launch, okay? I find this works really well, okay? And this is that whole in practice piece, because the whole version management with a Power BI PBIX based solution sucks. It's terrible, right? It doesn't work. These models, these files get too big, right? So practical source control solutions just don't work. Right? They work great if you've got BIMs or you've got other kind of text-based solutions. So model.bim is fundamentally what's under the covers. It's the instruction set to go through and build this Power BI file. So it'll tell it how to take the data, how to build the data, how to apply all the measures, what the relations are, all that kind of structure. In practice, even for large files, they'll never probably go beyond, say, 5 megabytes at most. Okay, so source control for that it's perfectly feasible. Once you get to these kind of file sizes, which for a large Power BI file, some of the ones that I've been working with lately, they're around a gig. It's kind of it's a problem with it. And especially when you're looking through the earlier stages of development for companies where you could start with a huge file and then you can pare it back and do your second and third releases based on the release cycles that I've mentioned earlier in the series. you can actually start to fine tune what goes in, and you can strip back data, make it more efficient so that your aggregation model works better. But your first pass is always going to be a bit of a, like, you know, hugging great beast. So this works. Having something that you can record history in, put what's gone on. You could even potentially put in, you know, your initials. So I could put like RW, right? For me, you know, that might be Steve. So put Steve. Okay, something like that, yeah. You could do stuff like that. You could put in your change references for it so you've got some information. But it's manual, that you're not going to find a way of automating it. That's the problem. And I think that's something that we kind of have to accept at the moment. I'm hoping data marts are going to fix it, which is why I'm really pushing data marts. Are going to be great, because data marts would give us the key or the ability to have something more controllable from a source management perspective. But again, we'll have to see. The other thing I've done, so I've put in a couple of things. So let's go have a look at page 4. So I found a new map that actually works. Okay, I've tested it in the sand with the Sandance stuff with all the 64,000 data points for the US elections. It works. So yeah, great, brilliant. Icon map is what it's called. So that works. So we're going to switch to using that a lot more in here. And we've pieced this together with our latest results, so we can then look and see, well, actually, you know, where's failed quickly and easily. Which you might just want to see, well, where's failed? Hover over it and it'll tell us. Okay. It's interesting to note, actually, the ones that fail, which is 1, and the ones that are neutral, so where there's a bit of weird in looking at the things. I'm saying neutral, I don't know. There's like a yes, there's a no for it being certified, and there's a D. Should get, is that deferred? Is that defaulted? Is that something else? Right? But in general, apart from this big one, because there's 2 tanks there, right, they seem to be quite old. So 2015, 2017. So it's kind of like, are they depreciated, you know, defaulted? So I don't know. But it's interesting. So I'm trying to work through. These are kind of the things that if it was the real world, we'd have a meeting with the client. So right, so what actually do these mean? You know, looking at it, it says, oh, it's been certified for New York. Oh, great, passed. Okay, so which is definitely passed. But if you fail, what does that mean? Okay, so we've got that. The other thing you saw there was we've got a tooltip built that just brings up again based on that. So it's a nice little view though, where you've got your tank numbers, you've got your address information. And then lastly, we've got this ability to drill down and explore kind of the testing activities in a particular location and see what they all look like. We need to publish it all up. So how do we do that? If you remember, we hit this, we go publish. Let's say, do you want to save the changes? Save the changes. Right, and we're going to save it to our development environment. Select that, replace that, it'll publish. Okay. Once that's published, then we need to go into our Power BI workspaces. And this is where we're going to need to promote it up through our environment, because for this, we've chosen to use, bring this in, we've chosen to use a development pipeline. Okay, so if I go back through to development, you can see we can view the deployment pipeline. Sorry, deployment pipeline, not development pipeline. Deployment. We can view the deployment pipeline. We can see it's going to calculate. We can deploy it to test. Oh. Hit deploy. It's going to copy it across, and then we'll deploy it to production as well. In practice, this is where your business, you would implement your deployment lifecycle policies or process. So presumably your dev is where you would do the validations. You would have report content to test in test and actually start to get people in, get the user acceptance testing, get it signed off, make sure everyone's happy and, you know, yeah, love that, it's really good. Okay, tick box, yeah, it's really, really good. Publish it up to production, and then they'll go, I don't like it, I hate it, it's rubbish, it's terrible. Always happens. Okay, who tested this load of rubbish? So, but we'll do all that. We'll come back when it's fully published up to production, and then we can see what content have we got to put on top of that. Alright, so I wanted to show us this, right, little thing here. So this is one of the things that I've had to do a few times in my professional careers we've gone through. It's where we've made updates to a data model between them. And I thought I'll show you this because this is one of the things that you need to be aware of. So we've got here, and what we've done is we've got the old format that I took this file from, and we've got the new that it just doesn't match to. And I thought, well, I want you to see just how difficult it is to actually manage this and how to keep these working. So in terms of this, what it is these are the tables that we've got at the bottom. And I'm just putting them together like this for now. And I'm just going to make this work effectively for us. And it's the case of you've just got to remap them. So at first glance, you look, oh no, what's wrong? What's terrible? You know, see the details. Oh, it's not there. I don't understand. Right? What it refers to is these here, and it tells you the little exclamation mark. It doesn't exist. The field's not valid. So what we need to do with them is it's actually a case of putting in the test hierarchy here. So I'm going to put the test hierarchy in. We're not going to use the whole test hierarchy. What we need is to pick the testing, not the title, sorry, the type. For this, it's the type, and it's going to be the quality. This is the quality piece that we're looking for. Right, and you can see in the subpart, there's nothing there, so it's just that. So what we can do now is we can get rid of those two. Right, and we'll get rid of the assessment area and that. We can put in then the result, and this is going to be the value. And what you'll see is if we come back over here, that now makes sense. That now works. Okay, so we can see we've got the analytes present, so the chemicals, there's a coliform present, all that kind of thing is there. Right, and the last thing that I've been doing, and I'll just come out of there just to make it easier, is going to the values, picking conditional formatting, picking an icon, and zooming in here. And the way I've written this is I've got a field value next to it. So in that row, we've got the test result in terms of what's in the NYC results, but then we've also got a KPI column. So we need to base it on field value. Okay, there's only ever a 1 or a 2. So a 1 is good, and a 2, what we're going to do is let's put a cross. So it's terrible, water's not good. Okay, and we've got the values in there. Do the same for this, for actually whether it's due or not. And again, all we need to do is pick, and this time we've got this in the building. So the building level, latest inspection results, it's inspection state, and pull that in, so it's due, right? And suddenly we've got a report page that works. So I'll just put the last piece in, the last bit of conditional formatting, and then we can publish that and we'll get ready. So here we are, haven't we? We've now got this published up and ready to go. So what we can do is we then create an app, set that all up, give it a description, NYC 2023 and beyond, water tower testing report. Okay, and then we'll give it a nice name for the app, NYC water tower testing. Okay, simple. Next stage, check the content. So we can choose to add the content that we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in, I'm going to bring this in. The two real reports that we've built here, I don't want to bring the legacy stuff through. So we can now start to see how that will look, and we can have a nice preview, and that's a nice thing to now show you previews of it. Okay. We could also choose to add additional content, sorry, not from Power BI. So we could bring in new sections, we could actually put in links externally and all sorts of things like that. So putting a link to our YouTube channel would be a nice thing to do. So add a link to that. Okay. You can see, you can build this up. So you can make this a really interactive experience for your people. Okay. Next, you've got audiences. So you've got your default audience. So this is going to be our, for me, it's going to be our YouTube team. Okay. So we've got our YouTube team, give them access to it. And we can then choose to publish the app to them. We could choose to say we're going to have a different app or an additional piece that people can have access to. And again, this is something that it's difficult to describe until you properly test it out for yourself and see what works. But what you would do is you would start with a small area. So in theory, we could say, well, we're going to have, like, we could go down the route saying we're going to have a Manhattan and then have like Bronx, Staten Island, Queens, like different areas as different audiences, and then have like a global, and you have different reports that would drop in with there. Depends on how you want to do it and what you're really looking to get going on. The main thing to remember is this allows you to piece together up to 10 different sections and audiences that you want to do. There's no necessarily right or wrong to it. It can definitely allow you to have a single area that you put a lot of content in, and you can now put an awful lot more in there than you used to be able to do. The typical use case I would suggest is you have your main report, and then you might have like a supervisor's or a manager's report that is available as an addition to the main report packs, and that would then be an additional audience. So they would see the main stuff and the second stuff because they'd be in both groups. It's interesting. It's different to row level security. It's not row level security. You can't actually pick and choose within a report. You can't change what they see within the report, but it allows you to pick and highlight reports for people. But you can then lock and hide filter criteria to replicate a lot of that. So from, as I say, in theory, you could say, well, we're gonna have a Manhattan one, Brooklyn one, everything like that, and then a global, and you might have different audiences, so different groups for each of those, and you would need to be in the right group to see the right thing, and then you would just lock that with a report level filter. So what do you reckon then? The main thing is that what we're starting to build up and what we're getting to is this idea that you can build apps, you can use audiences so that multiple people can see what they need. And you've then started to build up this idea of having a language of reporting within your organization, a language of data. Okay. And that's the turning point. That's the foundation of a good data culture, is that you've now got the tools and the capabilities within it that people can express and grow things. I've showed you how we were just tweaking, getting the detailed view to work. Right? Now, that's something that in theory, I can go and create a new report, go into Power BI Desktop, create a new report. Ta-da, I can do that based on just, well, I've got access to the app. I don't need any special permissions. I don't even need to know how the model was built. Okay? The confidence that you would have is that because people can get access to it, they will do things. The complexity is, as your Power BI models get big, the very fact and nature of documenting them becomes a pain in the neck. We've got VPACs, so we've got the VPACs analyzer that we can use that will give us the core, this is the stuff that's in there. But the realities of it are, this is why you need that Center for Excellence in analytics within your business. Because no one person is going to be able to build everything that your business needs. And the platform supports allowing everybody to build content based on what they've got. So the people who can do like the data engineering, the modeling piece, will build your enterprise grade models. Those models can then be used by anybody to structure new report content, either in Power BI Desktop, the Power BI service even, Excel now, you can connect to it, build pivot tables, you can connect to it, build new report content in Power BI, right? You've got that capability to do that stuff. They don't need to know how it all joins together, how to extract data from SQL, how to copy it in, how to do all the cool stuff that we do with web scrapes or all the other things that we've done to build the content that we've got. All they have to know is we've got buildings, that's bins, the bin building identification numbers, that's where it relates to, this is an inspection that's taken place, they've tank numbers there, and actually how they drag and drop them. So a Center for Excellence allows them to go, Ross, how do I do this, right? Which is what you want, okay? Whereas a dominant top-down doesn't support that. So you kind of need to change that mindset, and it's the whole flow changes, and it's about releasing control while actually gaining control across the business. Because as a business, we're aware now of what goes on within our business. We can be more assertive about what's happening. But me as an individual, I've lost a lot of the control, as it were, because the control was an illusion. Okay, too deep, right? So I hope I haven't blown your mind too much. Have a great week. Stay safe. Take care. Ta-da.